Everybody, wait a minute. Everybody, wait a minute. Right there, everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. Hey, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of I Mix What I Like right here, Black Power Media, special pop-up edition of answering critics and criticism. And you said what? All that good stuff. Thanks to those who are able to join me here live today and those who will see and hear this later. Appreciate you as well. Another reason for this is that I also wanted to try out the new setup I'm messing with. So in advance of the coming week, I'm trying a little something, you know, plus Kamal been complaining so much. I wanted to try something a little different and see if it works, make sure I got it all set up, because Warrior class comes up at 1 o'clock. And then tomorrow is a very busy day around here. Actually, starting in a few hours, it gets real busy in this household. And then Monday, we have a really big show coming up beginning with an All African People's Revolutionary Party tribute to Kwame Nkrumah. And then we're going to have Dr. Todd Stephen Burroughs, I think at least him, talking about the Woman King. So yeah, there's a lot more to say about that. That's Monday. So I wanted to make sure this was all working right before then. But also the comments and the criticism has filled up pretty quickly. So I wanted to, you know, again, before it overflows. So all of this is somewhat of a test run, a pop-up, you know. So definitely, if you see any tech or hear tech issues, please let me know. And okay, right on. More personal touch. Right. Yeah, no question. So check this out. So I'm working with it. So here's a slight more personal touch. How about that? My actual bookshelf. All right, and then I see I might need to make an adjustment here in a second if the I think I'm slowing down. Yeah, okay. So I might have to make a couple adjustments here. Yeah, a little bit of making some adjustments. I told everybody, I was telling Kamal to just be patient, but he just kept running his mouth like Brooklynites do, you know. So Big Tio, let me know if this is a slight improvements, if this is an actual backdrop of my bookshelf or one of my mini bookshelf. All right. Yeah. Right on. Okay. So we'll, I was kind of liking that office though, but and then if the lag continues, I might have to run and do something else real quick. So yeah, right. It's in there somewhere. I got several of his books. Wait Until the Midnight Hour, if I remember correctly. I didn't have a problem with some of his early work when he was just doing Here is some history related to Black Power. I didn't fully agree with everything. I remember years ago reading it, but I wasn't like alarmed in any particular way. You know, I didn't realize what was coming. But anyway, because dude is not stupid and he's not a bad writer. That's the other thing. You know who wrote a really good piece about him years ago in the Black Scholar Journal is our comrade here, Sundiata Chajuwa. You know what? We should dig that article out because it wasn't just about Peniel. It was about if I remember correctly, the historiography of Black Power, and it was very well done. And he in a more professional, mature way, I think, addressed some of Joseph's contradictions. It's been a while since I read it, so we might have to. This one's more loose. The other one's more serious. All right, right on. So yeah. Okay, good. Oh, that book. You got to check that book out over there. You got to check that book out. And this one over here, this one over here, by the way, by Norm Stamper, breaking. I think it's breaking. I forgot the full title. But Norm Stamper is a former chief of police in, I think, Seattle, and from a white male former cop perspective, it's a very honest history and application of policing. And he comes to some very progressive conclusions. You all understand what I'm saying, but anyway. So anyway, okay. Let me try to deal with some of this here, and please continue to drop any thoughts about the tech and the aesthetics. I appreciate it. So what I know is going to happen here, we're going to get sort of an incomplete look at some of the comments and criticism that I wanted to highlight this morning very quickly, or roughly quickly. Let's see. So let me see here. How did I do that? So if I did that there, and then I did that there, and then if we do that there, all right, and then if we do this like this, and then we do this like this. So like most people, like a lot of people would probably do this in editing, but honestly, I just don't have the time for that. So we're going to do it this way and the best we can. All right. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to display for you all because I haven't figured all of this out yet, to be honest, what the full comment is. But I think this is the full comment here from Khadijah Haynes on the Papers of Mumia Abu Jamal conversation that we had last week with Dr. Johanna Fernandez. Wait, so no one, and Julia Wright, so no one involved thought to demand Brown to be at the forefront or the Free Mumia movement before handing over his papers. I think, honestly, the only thing I think that's appropriate for me to say is that because there was a lot of post-show conversation, a lot of off-the-record post-show conversation with a number of, to me, very important people. There was just a lot of criticism. There was criticism of me in my interviewing. There was criticism of the decisions that everyone involved made. There was criticism of, including of Mumia himself. Um, And I think I'll just leave it at, we are in a moment of insufficient organization and desperation. That's the word I'll put on it. And I think that so there was so yeah. So but I think it's okay for me to at least suggest this or say this, that from my understanding, it's not like there was some organized body in charge of this process that convened, engaged the process, and then made a decision. So, for good or for bad, this is how things end up happening. So, um, but the flip side, and now this is interesting. So I've invited Daruba on again. I hope he'll do it because we've had a very in you know in in the context of Deion Sanders and his recent statements about HBCUs, um, saying that they should do more to organize themselves to demand more of the white schools that pay HBCUs and pay lower football team schools money to get beaten. Basically, you. In other words, it's a way for weaker schools to get a check to play a bigger school, take a beating, and then move on. And Dion has been saying HBCUs should get more. They get pennies on the dollar. Their players get hurt. It takes him a lot to rebuild them up emotionally to go play again. It's just a completely unfair process. He's demanding more of HBCUs to get more. Daruba and I'll just say for now, we don't agree on the response to this. And in part, it's from my point of view, an issue of what can these institutions actually do? What is the political economy of sports? What is the political economy of so-called higher education? So that whether it's an HBCU or in this case, I say all that to say something that involves an elite Ivy League white institution, that's what they are. They are institutions that have very prescribed and limited roles. Brown, I don't think could be expected or pushed to do any more than it is doing as an institution for the good, that is. So I wouldn't have expected Brown to be at the forefront of anything. And I think had there been some sort of demand that if in order for in order for you to get the papers, you have to donate and dedicate endless amounts of time and resources to popularly advocate for Mumia's release and the freedom of other political prisoners. Brown they wouldn't have done it. They just would have been like, we're not doing that. Of course we're not doing that. We can't commit to that. No way we're committing to that. So all right, anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. I should say that a lot of this episode's comments, relatively speaking, are positive. So, I don't want just the answering critics or comments to be all about the negative and just to give haters all the room and not, so I appreciate and this conversation. Shout out to Kamal, shout out to Kalanji, who have a much longer and extensive relationship with Ashanti going back. In fact, that was Ashanti and I off the air talked for a moment or two about the fact that he and I had never met for whatever reasons. Ashanti and I had never met, so it was an honor, and that interview is incredible. People, please go check that. These soldier stories interviews we've done have been for me the highlight of this whole platform of why I would have wanted to do this whole platform in the first place, work with these fellas and this whole thing. And you gotta watch these and share and encourage people to check these stories. If for no other reason, they deserve to be heard. These folks doing what they did deserve the attention and the commemoration. But then the lessons, the standards set, and that story that was clipped about the breaking out of their comrades. Oh my God. That's why I admit I'm going into the Woman King already more upset. Like, why are these the stories you pick? Well, we know why. Why do you pick this group to highlight in this time period? We're gonna get into that Monday, though. We're gonna get into that Monday. And I don't agree with a lot of people. And yeah, Ricky, he does. Daruba does have some personal interests. shout out to his moo, no question. And I have my own biases and personal interests caught up in my experience. I was in the chat. Daruba, you discounted my 16 years in an HBCU. Anyway, so yeah, thank you, Bryce X. Appreciate you, and right on. That's no doubt about it. So big shout out to Desiree, who has, I had to stop after I think one or two because Desiree has a lot of positive comments all throughout the site. And by the way, on this show, I'm just dealing with those addressing me. There are many more that I've seen, and we'll encourage other. You should encourage other programmers on the channel to do versions of this, and for us collectively to do more of these because there's a lot. And Desiree has said a lot of very nice things, so I appreciate that. Um, but including here, Diallo's point 23 minutes in. This is in the last episode of uh, uh, when a week ago Friday, when Diallo was on, a week ago yesterday, I should say, when Diallo was on talking about the Queen's death and Diallo's point about the Queen's passing reaction thing really changed my ideas about how the whole thing and about that whole thing and made me look inward about that. Very, very true. And Dr. Ball's addition made perfect sense. Amazing work, BPM, Geechee, Diallo. I appreciate all of you. So thank you, Desiree. We appreciate your support. And thank you very much. And then this is what I'm saying. Desiree kept going, and my ego appreciates it. But so but I couldn't include all of them. But just saying, I love how these videos um, give more in-depth look into how Dr. Ball thinks and how ready he is, as in like how he isn't just dropping references to books. He's not just read but studied. In that stark contrast, so many people today, day-to-day life just motivates me. And then there's more to it that I can't show right now because I have not figured out the rest of this particular OBS thing. But let me see if I can just see it here just to finish reading. Thanks for existing, BPM. Really, really thank you. Anyway, Desiree saying it motivates me to study it more. Yeah. So I get that point, by the way, from my man, Dr. Haight. The distinction between reading and studying. And I am tremendously guilty of not always appreciating that distinction, and too often reading more than study. It's just the reality of disorganized independent life and the encouragement of academia, by the way, professionally, unfortunately, or my version of it, I should say, not all of it. I shouldn't say that institutionally wide, even. It's just my version of it. So yeah, and so a lot of what I've read has not been studied, which is why, for instance, I want to do this series with Professor Taiwo about Marx, because I've read a lot of Marx, but I've not studied a lot of Marx. So, particularly when it comes to things like Capital or something like that, you can't just read it. And honestly, I mean, maybe there is a level of intelligence that can just read it and fully get all of its meaning and all of that. But I think that even if you're intelligent, you can't have applied that intelligence necessarily to everything involved, particularly in this case, African history, world majority people history, the history of colonization. So in other words, you could be the biggest brain, read Marx by yourself and still miss so much of what Taiwo and the world that influences me might bring to that conversation. So anyway, so yeah, so I mean, but anyway, but my real point though is, Desiree, thank you very much for supporting and offering your thoughtful comments. This one here from sorry, I didn't get the right clip. Where they do that at? representing, it looks like Missouri. Sophia is the movement ancestral mother that I base my work on. Only George, I'm assuming Jackson and Fred Hampton, I'm assuming, are on her level in my mind. She was literally everything. And the New York chapter thrived largely because of her, held the entire East Coast factions. She and Afeni Shakur, I'm assuming, do not get their flowers enough for me. May she rest in complete power amongst the ancestors forever. Thank you very much for that, and I couldn't agree more. And in fact, one of my sort of movement regrets is that the one time I met Afeni Shakur, she was at a stage of her life where politically, at least publicly, she didn't want to talk about her Panther work. She didn't want to talk about even the radical politics of her son. She was on a panel with Paul Robeson Jr. And Cynthia McKinney, and from the panel, and then sort of afterwards during Q&A, she was just very clear. I don't want. She just wanted to make some very specific points. I think about. I honestly I can't even remember what they were, but they were like broad points politically, and she didn't want to. Um, so there was no like I got no interview from her. The I remember the sound that was recorded wasn't like rebroadcast worthy politically. That is, so yeah, but she definitely deserves more of her credit than she gets or got. And certainly Sophia Bukhari. And I think I've been mispronouncing it because if you listen to that interview with Ashanti, he's saying Safia, right? I got to go back and listen, but I don't think I'm saying her name correctly, so I need to check myself on that too. Bukhari is the point. Needs to be um, given many more of her flowers. Okay. So right on, right on. Let's move on to the next one here. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the same? Is this an extension of the same? Oh, my bad, my bad. No, where is this from then? This is apparently about the Tukey, more of the Tukey thing. Let me get the full quote. I'm gonna have to work on this part of. Yeah, this is from Shanette, who on our conversation from the other day about Tukey Williams with Diallo, writes here, my criticism, you all need larger sized merch. 2X is not sufficient as the largest size. Okay, right on. I appreciate that criticism, and I will make sure that gets passed along. Secondly, that discussion on Tukey was killing me. I understood right away the nuance that you were referring to in regards to granting him clemency. You were not saying that his execution was totally unrelated to the reason that he was arrested and convicted. You were trying to explain the reason for not granting clemency and continuing the execution. Yeah, that's right enough, Shanette. Thank you. Yeah. The governor was explicit in the letter. I believe that they felt that should Tukey remain alive, that he could be exalted to a status of revolutionary leader. I agree with that. There is a reason that the government took out Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and MLK, but the leaders of the NOI are safe and sound. Yeah, I used to be much more harsh on that, but the NOI was so heavily infiltrated, and I don't know. I get your point. Then let me not go down that. I get your point. I honestly don't think that Diallo was actually listening to you. It seemed that he was waiting for you to stop talking so that he could repeat the same. Yeah, I mean yeah. I appreciate that. Diallo. I mean, it's all good. Yeah, I don't think he was hearing me, but it's all good. And definitely thank you for checking it out. Now, okay, so here we go. So I guess I started with some praise, but Holly, the Exalted Empress, she left a number of comments. Um, she had a lot to say about my complexion and all. She had a lot to say in the comments, but I'll just address more or less this one. I think maybe there might be another one or another part of this. Um, but no, I think this was the only one that I but she had a lot to say. Some good, I think somewhere on the platform there was some good, but directed towards me, it was she was getting it in. Jared, that's called marketing, rebranding, but it's the same method that has been used to update Christianity, the Bible, and other slick forms of teaching the people what they want you to believe. So I clipped this one because I thought it was perfect that given what seems to be relative newness to the channel of Holly, at least in the comments, and given the levels of jokes and hostility dropped my way, that this was sort of a perfect one to rock with because um I was really wanting to say something like like Holly, tell me more about rebranding and marketing. Like, welcome to the channel, sis. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yes, tell me more about how marketing and advertising work. Anyway, and I hear you. As for my complexion, there's not much more I could do about it at this point. And uh, it is what it is. And whatever else you were saying, I mean, it was a lot. Holly had a bunch of things to say, but so we'll see you next in the next edition. Okay, so keep on,
Put it in the comments.
you know, and and thank you, Holly, for watching. Uh, appreciate you. But yes, tell me again how rebranding works. And wait a second, 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 wait a second. Look at right above at the top of the screen. Look at the look at what happens. Hold, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. You see that at the top? I just noticed that this is the book, the biggest lie in the history of Christianity. How modern culture is robbing billions of people of happiness. About the marketing of religion and Christianity. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. But tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more about this. Anyway, oh, this one was a comment about okay, that's not in order there. So that let me find where this started. All right. Oh, this was a long one. That's right. That's right. So let me come back to this when we get to the beginning of that. Oh, that's messed up. Yeah, the biggest lie in the history of Christianity. So it's not like a honestly, I don't even remember. It's not like a critical, it's like a pro-Christian book. But I think I was just reading it from as a critic of the perspective of those who want to promote the better version, and they're critical of the version of Christianity that's promoted. But the whole point is it's about, as I remember it at least, the marketing. But that's my point about reading and not studying. I didn't study it. So I don't oh, nice, 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 nice. Anyway, In our discussion the other day, where I mentioned, and shout out to John Blaze, big in the comments, and got the George Jackson icon there, whatever symbol there. Um, yeah. You know what? Can I get me out of there? Let me try that real quick. Does that make it? Let me get me out of there. Let's try it over here. Like anyway, Dr. Ball is forgetting that dude Brown that he interviewed stated that Anonymous is no longer right. The other day when I was making the joke about I want Anonymous to hack into the student loans and all that stuff. Um, this is what that was in reference to. That Barrett Brown, who had formerly had some associations with Anonymous, noted that the wing of conservatism within the group won out. And yeah, no, I didn't forget that. I just was making my little joke about I wish I was a hacker. Had that song go, I wish I was a baller. I wish I was taller. I wish I was had a girl who looked good. I would call her. Yeah, like I wish I was a hacker. I wish I was a little bit blacker. I wish I could. Don't get me to start freestyling on a Saturday morning. Here we go. Anyway, shout out to Holly. Anyway, Will Mars back. Sounds like the bottom line. This is from the other day. Point in this conversation is we're trapped. Like Malcolm said, you're trapped, double trapped, triple trapped. No matter what direction we go, and we're trapped. In my own point with that point, and then I think he's asking me, yeah, am I on point with that, brother Jared? And yeah, I'm um yeah, I'm more or less saying that we're I'm not saying we're trapped and there's no way out. I'm saying that the we're still in the maze, and what people are running to thinking that these are exits are trap doors at best. I guess that would be the way I would try to keep working with that analogy. Um, Definitely. And then yeah, this was I love this. Right, the Black Lives Matter EA Sports video game. Yeah, shout out. Thanks for checking that out. Um, all right, what was this one? What is this one? Let me see something here. Because our ruling class has no idea how mediocre they are. Getting rid of these pukes would be a great replacement theory I could get behind, and finally spending on the military. Yeah, I got to figure this part out. Properties. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on this going forward. Oh wait, I moved this back to the beginning. Whoops. All right. So we were about that was about it. Let me just see where I was starting from here. So let's see if I go. All right, let me. Okay, so these are, and that's showing up live like that. Okay, right on. Bryce X also says no half measures, but let's fight for rights and legislation from within an illegitimate settler empire whose laws only exist to sustain the oppressive social order. Seems like, dag. Seems like a contradiction. Like any engagement with the system, as if it's legitimate, undermines revolution. Time spent trying to make life more comfortable under the system is time stolen away from destroying it. That was the ultimate point of that of the rest of this comment here. Um, I don't think I disagree with that in theory. I don't know how to better apply that though. I'll admit that. And my whenever I've engaged, for instance, because I think this came out of our discussion recently around electoral politics and and beyond with Professor Taiwo, that I've only advocated electoral politics with the idea that if we encourage people to engage that arena differently, that it would, as the Marxists say, heighten the contradictions and encourage people to move on to a higher stage of revolution. It's my version of when people say we have to engage where people are. I get it. I don't know, but I definitely respect that perspective that you're talking about there. So I think that's it. I think this other long comment. There was one comment in here. Oh wait, no, there was one. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, there was another one that Holly. That was the one that Holly dropped. That I wanted to get to. Okay, wait. So let me come back to that. Hold on a second. Martin Hernandez, regarding Stephen Biko and Mandela, in Mandela's autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, it appears there is no reference to Biko. Interesting. Yeah, shout out to Loxley Edmondson, my professor at the Africana Studies and Research Center at Cornell University at the time, under the directorship of its founding director, Dr. James Turner. And we took a class on South Africa and read that book as a class, and more or less studied it for 16 weeks. And I don't remember the specifics around that, but whether it's Biko, whether it's Chris Hani, either there was no mention or a disturbed mention in terms of the history. We also read that semester Winnie Mandela's much shorter and previously published. What's the title? Somebody in the chat will know. Her autobiography. That one moved me far more. I ended up writing a paper about her. It's how to mix what I like. I was so proud of it that I kept it, um, um, just because I really liked what I learned about her, and then didn't like what learning about how the state and the ANC addressed her. They but there were a lot of problems with the long walk to freedom from my perspective. I'm trying to go back quickly in my memory 20 years at this point, but it was kind of, I remember at the time, like, this is what has to be written if you want to get out, or this was what has to be written. I remember there was a part, I feel like there was a part in that book where he basically says something to that effect. Like, I had to present a version of my struggle in such a way that would allow me to get out, and I'm now adding something, be usable. Um yeah, that would be something to go back and I don't know, definitely somebody let me know if there's somebody who's done like a more recent study group on that book, or written about. I don't know. Um I don't know if this is in reference to that or just in general, but yeah, shout out to the communists. Um anyway. Uh yeah, somebody's asking if the show is still going. I feel like I'm still here. Anyway, don't forget at 1 o'clock warrior class. Um hmm, anyway, uh let me yeah, so this is definitely what Olafemi Taiwo brought up in our conversation about nuance and me being a nuance monger. and I don't know this history, but I did do a quick look up. I had a quick post show conversation with a couple friends, and apparently, um, the Polish or a group of Poles conscripted by Napoleon, Poles conscripted by Napoleon. Um, Somebody in the rap game could do something with that. Somewhere there's something to do with that. But they all, when they realized they were being used to attack another colonized and enslaved group of people, they rebelled and switched sides. So that's why they were declared legally black. So that's as much as I know about that history, or at least remember if I ever knew more. So shout out to and shout out to Roberto. Um, yeah. So this was my reference to, in response to my reference to Michael Moore's Planet of the Humans and Naomi Klein's criticism of it. And it's by forgive my, I'm gonna not do this name well, but Fiamir Adis Ogarwa. And they write, Dr. Ball, you have mentioned Naomi Klein's opposition to Michael Moore's documentary Planet of the Humans several times, yet you have never mentioned her greatest hypocrisy. Klein wrote a book several years ago titled This Changes Everything, which in which she interviewed which in interviews she describes as a critique of the corporate funded green movement. She wrote a book several years ago, This Changes Everything, which in interviews she described as a critique of the corporate. Okay, so okay, right. She's saying that is a critique of the corporate funded green movement. The book isn't that impressive, nor is it as big of a critique as she made it out during her interviews, yet its existence is puzzling considered her stance against Moore's documentary. So thank you for that. And I don't know. I saw some of the documentary version of it. I did not read the book, and I don't know the arguments well enough, and so I wouldn't know enough of the distinctions between her argument and Moore's. But I just admit again a kind of a little bit of a childish, amusement at the left, of whom I'm always critical, the white left, in there, and just seeing them beef with each other, and what I think highlights yet another contradiction. And Moore just went too far. And if his argument is correct, and it's not him, he's the executive producer. I'm forgetting the actual director and the filmmaker, but Moore is obviously the bigger name attached. And if the film is correct, to the extent it's correct, Klein and all of her allies and a lot of the funding they get is going to be challenged. So it would make sense that they would be critical. I just would have expected, once upon a time, not anymore. Once upon a time, I would have expected someone like Amy Goodman in Democracy Now! To be more open and honest about the disagreement. But I do remember that off the record conversation I had with Juan Gonzalez. I don't know if I've shared that publicly. This is a good 15, 16 years ago. And it rings pretty relevant. I don't know. Have I shared that story? If I haven't, I probably shouldn't. It's not fair to him. It was off the record, but it was way off the record. But it's relevant. It's relevant. Oh man, yeah, I gotta figure this thing out. This image sharing thing on here. Um, the comment is from James Nadell, Dr. James Nadell, a previous guest on our on this show. Um, he writes, "Too black, defining the state, destroying the place. Great panel that is jammed with content and serious thought. The ability to theorize in a way that is understandable, to make things real, aka material, is what I look for. BPM is vital for this. because you take a multivariable approach. Your discourse is complex, it's understandable. Ideas instead of rigid ideology. By the way, by all means, a serious cognitive ass kicking is due Tucker Carlson's critique of the British Empire and its benign nature. He is a vehicle by which this massive misrepresentation can be once and for effing all put to sleep. I'm looking forward to this on your platform as it is the best online program to do it. Critical thinking. My man making a rounders reference. And yes, these blood sucking monsters weigh, I think that's all I got from that. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, James. Appreciate your support um and kind words. Yeah, definitely gotta work on this thing here. Yeah, we got so this is the comment about that JCJC sent about bell hooks, saying that bell hooks used to hang out at my house in Santa Cruz when I was a student there on 124 Catalpa Street, 1983 to 86. Gloria was a victim because she probably, which is her birth name, Gloria. Why do I want to say Richardson, but that's not what I think it is, right? What was somebody in the chat will tell me. Um, Gloria, because obviously Gloria Richardson is, shout out Cambridge, Maryland. Gloria Richardson, rest in peace as well. Gloria was a victim because she probably had no idea what she was doing at first. She was leading with her heart and emotion, which is how I remembered her. Backed against the wall, one of the first women with a megaphone defends herself. How is a woman to know what a man is? A man can understand this, but then even we men must train to be men, and we are failing ourselves, many of us. So it's sad. Also, Gloria was of course not a sociologist. The question for me is which color of people could best manipulate her into foolishness. I know I mentioned Gloria before, but it's only because I knew her up close and personal, so to speak. I knew she was over the top. At least we can all say that Bell led us to I think that's all I got from that. Sorry, Jason. Sorry about that. Anyway, I appreciate you speaking up and sharing your thoughts about someone you knew, and we've only made reference to, in to a certain extent. I don't want to encourage more of those other comments, but send them if you got them. Definitely make them. Um. Anyway, I'm gonna keep working on this definitely, but let me get through a couple more of these. And again, the same. Okay. I'm not sure where I even got this one from. Sorry about that. I'm gonna try to get that one corrected. But there was one. Wait, where is the one where? Oh man! All right, I might just have to read it because she went in. All right, let me just let me just let me just read it to you, and then I'll continue to work on this setup. I'm glad I gave it a test run. I appreciate you all working with me here. But Holly the Exalted said, I don't understand why you intellectuals, professors, and philosophers had to get all that education to understand that naming and commodifying things creates divisions and strife based on and driven by economic competition, which is set up to restrict and control freedom. Classifying is class distinctions, and propaganda drives the urge to get what becomes attractive because some people promoted a distinct wording. I realize that you have to get groups together, but most people are powerless to do what that to do that to do that. That is why you professors, philosophers, and intellectuals would serve a better purpose with your education if you organized. You already have the recognition and more money than the people that Tyrell refers to who have the need. Um, oh, there was more. He goes into the something about the whole system, but I wanted to at least address that part. So again, I apologize to Holly the Exalted and to everyone else. Um, I had a I think I had a more, let me move over. No, okay, so listen, on the one hand, one of the points I wanted to make in response to that comment is that, again, I think it's in response to the conversation that had the other day with Professor Olafemi Taiwo. Um, Faculty in academia are, and I think I might be lagging here a little bit. Let me just make sure that, okay, so I see there is one other thing I'm going to have to do for Monday that I didn't do today. And I don't see it recovering fast enough. So I hope it's not too bad on your end. But so 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 listen, this distinction made, I get on the one hand the tendency to target academia and intellectuals as ivory tower scholars, disinterested, disconnected, aloof, arrogant, condescending. I get that. And of course, we are. But in terms of impact on the struggle, there has to be a few things that I think people need to understand, whether they are inside of academia or for the most part, not, when they offer these criticisms. Academics are in no greater position to impact the community or society than any other person working in any other field. Academics have no more power in general than anyone working in any other field anywhere else, whether that's so-called blue collar, white collar, or whatever have you. So in the same way, we wouldn't turn around and say, why haven't uh, maybe we do, or why haven't black medical practitioners revolutionized the medical industry? Why why haven't professional athletes revolutionized the relationship between themselves and society and themselves even to their so-called ownership? Why haven't postal workers, black or otherwise, revolutionized that? So why haven't, or why are black and brown and other workers at Starbucks and McDonald's and Burger King and elsewhere struggling to unionize, and at Amazon and otherwise, just struggling to revolutionize those spaces? In other words, we in academia have no more power to do that than, and we have no more power to organize our communities, and particularly those who are at the, okay, that's one point I wanted to make, and I will check the comments in a second for immediate criticism, and I'm happy to check the comments going forward for more. But that is one point I wanted to make. That this Then there is this other thing. So in the other part of the comment, Holly suggests that we would be better served with our education organizing than apparently whatever she thinks that it is that I or Taiwo or others are doing. I don't know Taiwo that well. I don't know what he's doing. I won't speak for him. But speaking for myself, it's again unfair to expect that I, just because my job is within academia, would be able to do more in terms of organizing than others working in most other areas, including whatever field you might work in. All of us have to find time and the ability and the energy to leave our institutions, our official places of work, and to build these organizations that need to be built that are extra institutional. So all of us are struggling to do that. It's not like there is this burgeoning revolution that we academics are sitting outside of and watching and just refusing to join. So we all are struggling with that. And then I just want to also say that, again, most of us in academia are not the ones you see on TV. We're not the ones you see on popular platforms. We're not the ones you see in films. We are, again, teaching 3, 4, 5, sometimes more classes a semester. We are underpaid. Whether that's relative to academia or not, we are underpaid. Sometimes it's not even relative just to academia. A lot of people in academia are underpaid just period. They are paid just like any other underpaid working person in the workforce. Even if we're paid more appropriately, the time it takes to earn that money prevents dedication to outside institutional organization, just as it would be the case for anybody doing any other work. It is also not to suggest that because you see two people having a conversation on YouTube that they're not doing many other things outside of those YouTube shows. So my other question is, are you being critical of Taiwo or my absence from political struggle because you're there and don't see us, or you just assume we're not there because you see us here? So I used to always, particularly when I was more involved and more active, I would always be very clear, you know what work I have done and am doing because you're there. And if you're not, then of course you wouldn't know and should probably be quiet. Now I can't say it like that anymore because I'm not as active as I should be and as I used to be and as I would like to be. So I admit that. I'll take that. But that's a me issue, not an academic issue per se. There are plenty of people bartending, delivering this, picking up that, working at this, teaching that, doing this, who are also themselves struggling with their schedules and their commitments or their health or whatever else is going on, or their politics or their commitment or their fear. So I am a little defensive around these broad attacks of academics, and just because you hear people saying things, you know, that So then the last point in that comment that I wanted to address is this idea that it took us all of this education to reach conclusions that we should have easily been able to reach. I'll speak for myself. I don't know Taiwo. I won't speak that well. I won't speak for him on this. My political conclusions have nothing to do with my academic experience. Let's be clear on that. My political So this is again about, again, a personal critique of me, a personal attack, that or I'm taking personally. Um, that is again part of this ignorance about who I or anyone else might be or what we have been or what we're doing beyond these YouTube exchanges. And I don't ever want to be mistaken just because this might be the only place we've interacted as someone who has only or just been interested in YouTube. My political conclusions may have been aided by my time to study. And again, I think of it as a privilege to go into wild debt, to take the time to study, and learn and be exposed to the ideas of revolution and critique and just general interest. I think that's great, and I recognize it as a privilege. But it's not. It didn't take me an education, so called, to reach these conclusions. It's been my engagement with political organization, with radical politics, radical histories, theories, etc., and so forth, that did that. Now, to suggest that anyone given the privilege or taking the privilege to go into debt or not, to take the time to actually get to study and read and enhance maybe those arguments or views to diminish that's foolish. And I don't ever want to take the side. We can be critical of academia in the Western context and colonial context, but let's never diminish the idea of study. Let's never diminish the idea of stepping away and again spending a bulk of your time not doing other work, but studying the histories, theories, perspectives of those who have tried to change the world in the way you want to. So, um, So I don't know if this is if Holly is projecting a sort of uh, anti-intellectualism or some sort of that kind of what do we used to call it um just I forgot the phrase, but wishing that she had a PhD or whatever that kind of thing is, or something like that. And again, that's one thing. But I certainly don't see myself or the people that we bring around here as flaunting doctorates and as if we're some this, that, and that, and the third. And again, other than my elder Sundiata on this platform, shout out to the dogs in the neighborhood chatting it up, they getting riled up. Um, I'm the only full-time academic on the platform, if I'm not mistaken, at this point. So nobody's around here, you know, uh, anyway. So I just think I just wish we could do better than that. That's all. I wish we could just do better than that. And plus that, again, speaking from my own experience, a lot of faculty put up with a lot and suffer in their careers because they are trying to do the work that we're often not given credit for trying to do. And somehow we're expected to do things and take risks that other people in other fields aren't expected to take. Uh, and again, there's a relativity here, but for the most part, if faculty don't have tenure, if faculty don't have even full employment at an institution, they're taking as much of a risk as anyone working at anything else, wherever you might be, would be asked to take to do something revolutionary. And I just don't see that many people doing it. So to put it all on academics is not fair. Now, those of us with tenure, we should do more. And trust me, in my case, I have fully tested the strength of tenure and what that means, and promotion and what that means. I've been in Morgan 16 years. I'm a full tenured professor. I'm at the top of the seniority food chain. You could look up my salary online right now and compare it to others. I walked into my office last week and somebody else was in that train. Shout out to the Morgan State College of Liberal Arts. It was just an honest mistake. But my point is, it was kind of funny. It was just kind of funny. It just says a lot to me. It just says a little bit, maybe just a little bit. But my point is, um, I say all that to say that I've seen it stretched. I've even seen the emails I wasn't supposed to see asking how stretched Dr. Ball's tenure can be. And it's not even a full protected anymore. So anyway, so I am a little defensive. I do take that stuff a little bit personally. I admit that there's a lot of us out here really trying to be supportive and do good work, and it's not appreciated and it's not respected. And yes, it is better than most of you know my working experience is way better than most people. I acknowledge that. I'm good with that, and I appreciate it. But that's not to say that there aren't endless amounts of microaggressions and just passive aggressive aggression and outright aggression. And nobody wants to go to work and feel like they're not wanted and to feel like and to be told that they're not wanted and worse. You know what I mean? Like, so like, and my stories aren't even the worst. Mine aren't even the worst. So I mean, let's check in on your resident local professor. Check in on your maybe your former professor if you were a college student, and ask about their experience. Check in with them. Don't judge academia by what you see when you see someone on TV and in a movie. Most of us don't have that experience. Okay, all right. That's it. So I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody. Let me run through the chats and the comments here real quick. And if you have something that you want me to respond to very quickly, let me know. Otherwise, we can start to get ready. I need to get the yoga mat out and stretch and get ready for warrior class. Because even when they just talk, I try to be living out the get ready for ice cold Carter. Anyway, yeah, this is. I think this is. We've talked about this, like Dev and others who talk about Walter Rodney and the guerrilla intellectuals and the organic intellectuals of Gramsci and all that. Um, I think of a lot of it in terms of the Dr. James Turners and Clarks and others who sort of brought a particular politic and approach to Black studies. But I do think we need to have a more. I just don't think people really understand how academia works, and I don't think that people who have even gone to college understand what it is like to be a faculty member. I mean, a lot of popular conversation around these issues to me becomes frustrating, and a lot of the comments that I get and that I see others get just doesn't seem to appreciate what the job is like. And again, I'm not saying, look, relative to every other job I've ever had, I mean, I'm good. I'm not, anyway. But well, that adjunct, that adjunct work is no joke. I did it for a while. It's no joke. It's no joke. Um, the streams are relatively easy. There's a lot of overlap with my work, so there's not, and and you see when everything happens for me in mornings. So it's not only that I'm tired and I don't want to go anywhere anymore, but as once it gets to the afternoon and evening, all the other family stuff kicks in. So and then I'm also not. You got to look at, like it took me 3 months to write 5,000 words about cryptoganda. Thankfully, the second edition work on the buying power book is not a lot of heavy lifting original writing. It's not a lot, just some, but I'm taking time with it. But I'm not putting out the monster research, like these great bits of, like these, like there's a lot of really high power stuff. Like I'm not producing that stuff. I mean, it's not peer reviewed academic work, but I'm just thinking even the article that we went through with Two Black the other day, laundering Black rage. Like that's a lot of work. You put a lot of work in that. I'm not doing that. So like this right here is easy. This is fun. I have no problem with it. And as you've seen in some of the critics, some folks don't think it's very good. I don't, but I enjoy it. This is fun for me. I would do this like if BPM blew up for real, I would do this all the time. I was like, I should have been doing this a long time ago. But even if I was doing real video editing, which I'm not doing, which is why I was saying like some of this stuff I should have probably been doing, like I'm blurred up a little bit here. I see I blurred up a little bit. Was that corrected? Anyway, so I got a couple tech things to deal with. But even that takes up a lot of time. Like I don't have that much time. Like so a lot of the stuff could be done better is the point I'm getting at. Oh, absolutely. Century to self. I use that all the time. Yeah, why is my camera faded? Fogged up a little bit all of a sudden. It looks good in OBS. So mm, mm, might have to work on that a little bit. Uh, and I'm also not that involved. organizationally. Like I don't do a lot of work organizationally. So my time is, um, and I feel like I read a lot, but I'm not studying it and I don't retain everything. I'm not, so I struggle with my organization all the time. Anyway, it's whatever. But so my point is, I'm not producing that academic heavy lifting. That's my point. And the time that it takes, shout out to them doing that work. Um, okay, but I think that was it. I think I got to everything. So I appreciate you all coming through. I'm gonna try to figure out what's up with the camera. Was it always? It seems to be getting worse. More light help. Oh, messing up the green screen now. Anyway, messed up the whole camera. Did that improve it? I think it did improve it. Okay. I do like the way that Asada comes in big like that. Anyway, I wonder how prevalent stimulant use is among academics. Other than poor people. Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I never did coffee. I never did any of that. I never did meth at all, but I never did any other kind of stimulant to do work in academia. I think people use Adderall to stay focused. But I've actually not ever heard of any academics saying, like having strung out sessions to stay up or to focus on their research or whatever. You're probably right about that. Now, I appreciate you, Big Teal. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Um, I don't know, probably not, to be honest, and I don't know that that would be all on me. Um, but I don't know, but if you would like to see him or anyone else, feel free to contact I mix what I like booking at gmail.com. And shout out to Josh and Aaliyah. Maybe they can make that happen, or reach out to the guests that you would like to see on, and have them reach out to that same email address. I mix what I like booking at gmail.com. Um, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that one happening, to be honest. But I wouldn't be averse to it. For what? To debate Marx and whatever, like the value of is Marx Eurocentric, which is Black myths are going to tackle shortly, which I'm looking forward to that. But because remember, my only thing with him, my only hit with him and with anyone else in that rel- relative political camp is, can we just be a little less hostile towards African people who have picked up Marxist ideas? Because they're clearly not the enemy. Clearly, a lot of goodness has come of it. Um, and it just seemed unnecessarily hostile. And I would say the same thing as some of them, our materialist sisters and brothers and others, get too hostile with the cultural nationalists. We got, and that was the fantasy thing that I wanted to write. That I thought, because I really do, and I know this sounds crazy, and people get upset, and I understand it. And I've even been told not to say that I think of it this way, but I swear that when I read Marx and then I read Marimba Ani, they're saying the same thing. Marx is just limited by him not knowing anything about anything other than what he knew. But when he talks about what capital does and how it moves through space and time, and how, and his critique of, I don't know. I used to be more clear on this because when I was reading more carefully back and forth, but it just seemed like they're just saying the same thing that just from different places. And I just feel like when African people pick up either or, one, the camps don't read each other. So I don't know about Cambone. I don't know, but the camps don't read each other. Black Marxists don't really read cultural nationalist work and vice versa. So a lot of people who hate on Marx and Marxists haven't really read Marx. And to Taiwo's point in his series, people who even want to read Marx and claim Marx really haven't read Marx. And I might be guilty that I've read a lot of Marx. I just don't know that I haven't studied it. So I might not be. But anyway, my point is, I used to think I could put the argument together to say, look, you just got to understand that when you're reading Marx, he can't think of it from an African worldview. And when you're reading, and if those who appreciate Ani, because Mama Marimba would never, but the people who read her work would read Marx and consider what he was trying to say from his own worldview. I think they'll see that there doesn't need to be, there is a synthesis that can occur, but facts. Yeah, we didn't even. Now, Cambone, I will say this: Cambone is wrong on Bitcoin. If he hasn't changed his position, I will say that he's definitely wrong on Bitcoin. He's definitely wrong on Bitcoin. That one, we can intellectually wrestle over. Ain't no more physical stuff. Just playing. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. No, I've done more than skim angles, but I haven't given him his credit. I'll say that. I haven't done him his, but anyway, all right, let me go. I gotta go stretch. So thanks everybody for coming through. I'm gonna continue to work out these technical kinks, and because ultimately this is all so I could tell Kamal to but definitely appreciate. Please continue to
put it in the comments
so we can continue to get that
message.
So we're not just running around here, just simply saying,
"No, God, no, God, please, no, 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 no."
So keep letting me know, if I'm
it's wrong, bro.
And hit that fundraiser and help BPM. Appreciate you, everybody. See you Monday morning for the actual show. Celebrating Kwame Nkrumah and having a discussion about the woman king. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Peace, only because I know you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. Thank you all very much again for joining us here at I Mix What I Like in BPM. Catch you next time. Yeah, stay safe. Peace, everybody.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.